Good evening, traders. Matrix here, and here is my watch list for December 11th. Man, it literally took me over hours, hours of staring at this chart, thinking outside the box. And it's gonna be tough tomorrow. Um, the market in itself, I've been thinking how it's gonna react tomorrow and how it's gonna work, and it took me a while. Now let's take a look at the futures here now, explain why it took me so long trying to come up with a thesis. The futures, we are down gapping a little bit, ever so slightly. I think tomorrow we might test a little bit, pop its head a little bit above to test this 2650 area, and then fail from here. Probably right out of the gates, it's gonna pop and rip up, and then around lunchtime, come lunchtime, it's gonna sell right back off. Now I'm gonna tell you how I come up with this thesis though. So let's get the futures out of the way and bring in the SPY. The SPY is what really gave me trouble. As you can see today, it had a massive buyer's candle today. It finished as a doji, but it's a massive hammer candle. All right, it popped its heads up a little bit. According to my futures thesis plan, I do think that we are gonna gap up a little bit. Now, depending on whether we open above or under this 265 area, which is a key psychological whole number, as well as a very key support level that it snapped today, it will actually dictate what the market will do. Now, usually I'm looking at this, and then I was scrolling back on the SPY, so I'm going to scroll back a little bit and take a look at this year's action. And what brought to my attention was this candle right here on February 9th. As you can see, basically the pattern is kind of the same. The previous day we had a massive dump which broke a lot of key levels, and then the next day we had a climb back up, and then a massive buyer's candle, and then the next day we had a gap up, a fail, a push. And this is the kind of action that I'm looking at for tomorrow. So this in itself would be one of the probabilities that would happen tomorrow. All right. And then also looking at May 4th. So right here, it could do something like this as well after the market dumped and made this major hammer candle. So the next day it basically gapped down, but opened really quickly and enticed everybody to buy back in. So scrolling back to the front here, as you can see, looking at the previous chart history and the pattern, it's almost the same, right? We have this massive dump, and then the next day we have this major hammer or doji candle, buyer's candle, right? Again, massive. This one, not so much of a massive dump. I may mainly focus on this buyer's candle right here, and I'm looking at what would happen the next day. But if we're just strictly following this pattern of the market, tomorrow we should get a green day on the market, and this market should come back up. However, looking at these 2 days here, the only difference is these 2 days, the market was still above the 200 SMA here on the daily chart, whereas right here, as it stands right now, we are under it. So we are in bear territory, whereas on these 2 days, we were just coming into correction territory. So how will it react tomorrow? It's a tough call. But right now, I'm just going to play off the thesis that it's going to be a green day tomorrow on the market, and I think the market wants to pull back up a little bit, maybe test out this 267 area. 267 area is good, and it'll dump back. With that said, it's going to be a tough trading day tomorrow because of this very unique scenario that we have right now. And what's more important is that we focus on being patient and actually let these stocks pick a direction first before we get into a trade, right? So tomorrow, if I'm going to be expecting a lot of choppiness going around, I'm going to actually sit out a little bit and wait. That's probably the most safest play. And I don't think the first play will actually show itself until around the 10 a.m. when volume really kicks in. 10 a.m., 10:15 area when volume really kicks in and the market picks a direction. Now, we got to really think about this. Looking at the intraday chart on the SPY here, today from 11 a.m., it basically did a little double bottom and it started ripping, right? This in itself, the action doesn't really look natural to me. It looks pre-manipulated. And to me, well, my mentor says that it's manipulated by the big smart money, right? The big boys. They're basically manipulating the market to make it look like a squeeze and enticing the dumb money to buy the dip. And he definitely has a point there. I do agree with him. I'm going to really watch this 265 area at the open tomorrow, and we'll see how this plan out. If this 265 pops up and over, starts holding, and according to the thesis, we should get a run back up to 267 here. As you can see, 267 reacted well here yesterday, reacted well here yesterday, reacted very well here yesterday as well. So this 267 area is also very key. Even scrolling back a little bit more, I mean, look at this 267 area, 267 area. So for me, as more of a short bias trader, because I'm more comfortable shorting stocks. Actually, let's take a look at this here, 267 breakout, right? More short bias trader and more comfortable shorting stocks. I don't trust longing anything right now, even though, yes, the market is showing signs that it wants to come back up. And this 265 line, if it pops up over and holds, then it would pretty much confirm the thesis that we are going up. But as far as how far up, I think 267 will probably hold it down tomorrow. We'll really have to see. And yeah, so going on this thesis, I found literally just a few stocks to play tomorrow. With that said, I'm glad that we are still in earnings season though. So tomorrow there will be an earnings play, and tonight, actually after hours, there was an earnings place as well. I'll talk about the ticker that I'll be watching tomorrow morning right away is DSW. They're announcing earnings before the market bell. So there is definitely some movement here on DSW. As you can see, DSW sold off the last 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and it sold off huge, right? Basically, this thing is going down the drain right now. It's going into the toilets, and it's given it back a lot of its gains. And with this sell-off for the past prior 4 days, not only was it a sell-off from the technical side of things of this key resistance level, I think it's also an indication of what people are expecting the earnings will do. They're expecting that it's going to come out with bad earnings once again, hence causing, and if that happens, this thing will gap down a lot pre-market. And this would actually call, if it does gap down a lot pre-market, this would actually call for a long, in my opinion, because of this prior sell-off, telling me that basically the price of the earnings report is priced in, and people have already been betting against it. So once it does gap down, the shorts will cover right away, take profits, and causing the stock to run back up tomorrow. And that's my thesis on DSW. And this is just a very very loose guess here, because we will never know what really happens on earnings. But if it gaps down even more tomorrow on bad earnings, I'm going to look for a pop. I'm going to look for a pop due to prior gamblers getting in early and long-term short sellers getting in early. And I think they're going to take profits for sure, because they're basically hitting the jackpot here. And this thing's going to try to fill the gap before it fails again. So that's DSW. Next up, we have SFIX. SFIX announced earnings after hours, and they beat revenues and earnings estimates, but then they came out with like the next quarter's guidance and the year 2019's guidance, and it was basically terrible, right? So after hours is sold off right after that. Now, this has definitely sold off a lot. Currently, it's sitting at 2240 right now. So let's mark that off. 2240. Yeah, sitting around this area, 2240, 2250. Oh, there we go. Okay. And let's make a bubble here real quick. Okay, so currently this is where the stock is sitting at. All right, now scrolling back, we are sitting at some major support area. And I mean, for the past couple of months, we are sitting at some major support areas. And scrolling back to the furthest, this was a recent IPO of only a year old, right? We do have super major support here at the $20 mark, as you can see right here, from the IPO days right here, and basically everywhere along the lines here, right? So $20 is a key support area. I do want to see a pop and drop because it's an earnings reaction loser. Okay, even though the gap is a lot, it's down a lot on this major gap here. So what I want to see, I want to see a little fill of this gap, maybe up to the intraday here at 2350 or 23. So a cover pop, okay, into this area at the open tomorrow, and then sell it back down for an all-day fader. Bring it down to at least the first target of the lows is at 22. And then if 22 snaps, I can see it definitely go down to 20 here, which would be the automatic target as it comes down even further. So this is going to be my main watch tomorrow. I'm going to watch for the rejection signal at 23, 23.5. Also, maybe even 24. I'll mark that off just in case, right? Because you can see here on the 1 minute chart, 24 reacted very well as well. We have a support, the support bounce after hours, and then it snapped through, and then it rejected as now becomes resistance. So this is a major area on the 24 as well on the daily chart. Let's take a look. Yeah, 24. Very nice and key resistance number you can work off of, right? So SFIX will be on my main watch. Next up, we have NVDA, NVIDIA. NVIDIA basically started topping out today at 152.50, and this is a very crucial resistance mark, as you can see. And I was thinking basically this is kind of like the line in the sand for the short sellers, right? If the stock gets back up and above, it would squeeze. But then I scroll back a little bit more, and I was looking at this 156 area as well a couple days ago. And this is basically the same action, right? It sold off in the morning's pre-market, right? Just as it did today. And then it popped up, hits a high, and then it kept testing these highs and never broke out. It didn't break out until late day, but today it didn't break out. So what I'm looking for tomorrow is basically a gap up, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it gap back up all the way to 156. kind of tricking the retail traders that this thing is coming back up, and from there right out of the gates it dumped just like it did yesterday. So something like this is what I'm looking for, and I'll be looking at the 156 area if it does follow this plan. However, if it gaps down hard tomorrow, I'm going to be looking for a cover pop right back into this 152.50 and look for a rejection signal from there and sell it short. See if we can bring it back down for 5 to 10 point gain, because NVIDIA definitely can make moves. Okay, so that's NVDA. Next up, we have Facebook. Facebook, in my notes here, it's very simple. I see resistance at 143, which is today's highs. So I want to see a test of today's highs at 143 tomorrow and see how it reacts, right? I'm looking for it to fail, obviously. And then we have major support here at 140. And you can see these two levels work out as well on the daily chart. So let's mark off 143 here. Okay, so it was the high of today, and a few days ago it was the highs, and then it was the closing price here, 143. And then 140 would be kind of like the breakout level. Now what the stock did today is it broke out, but was this a real breakout or more like a squeeze type of breakout? Because like I said in the beginning of this video, we'll bring back the SPY again. Trick, my mentor, he says that this is a very manipulated up move and on the market, and that basically caused the SPY to come back up, and that is also probably the reason why Facebook came back up as well. Now, if these big boys are trying to trick the retail traders to start buying that dip, all right, so that they can actually sell some more, I'm definitely watching this 143 area, and I am hoping, fingers crossed, that these big boys come back in tomorrow and sell into the dumb money. All right, 143, looking for that rejection and hammering it down. If 143 does not reject, I'll just let it go crazy and look for that rejection signal at a key psychological whole number of 145 next. All right, so that's Facebook. Apple, AAPL. Apple is tough. I mean, Apple's going to be on side watch for me. I'm going to watch this 170 level that we are very, very close at. We're actually a little bit above it after hours, but as you can see, 170 is very key. And then I'm also going to mark off 175 as well and see if it can get back up and over. I mean, I think the stock will come up tomorrow and hit this 175 before it sells off. As you can see, 175 plays really well as a resistance, scrolling back a little bit. And even on the news, basically the news today that caused this gap down was that it was saying that China banned the sales of Apple products, right, on a few of Apple's key products. But late day, Apple came out and say that they will fight this news and fight this, basically fight this bad news, and hence causing a reaction pop here. But that doesn't really mean anything. They said they're going to file a suit to fight it, but it doesn't mean that they have won the fight just yet, right? So I'm going to be, or they filed an appeal against iPhone sales ban in China. So just filing the appeal doesn't do anything. It's false hope, in my opinion. So by the time, we still got to play the technicals. So by the time it reaches 175, which is the 9 EMA as well as key psychological whole number and key chart resistance, I'm going to look for a sell-off from there on Apple. All right, so that's basically it for my watch list. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tickers, one of them being a pre-market play tomorrow. Once again, I know it's not a lot of tickers, but once again, I bring in the SPY and I show you that it's it's a difficult night to do a scan and a plan because tomorrow could be very sketchy and dangerous. For the newer and beginning traders, I think it's okay to not trade tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a very good study case, in my opinion, right? I might not even take a trade if none of these plans actually start pre-market and start working in my favor, or looks like it's forming according to my plan tonight. I might not even trade. So we'll have to see tomorrow, and really got to be patient, use smaller size, and stay safe in the market. I mean, it's all about the long game, right? So we are trading as a career. We're not trading for that one day where we try to hit the jackpot. Anyways, I hope you guys like the watch list. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all bright and early tomorrow. Ciao.